Good evening and welcome to Vigilant Broadcasting, the station of opportunity, presents The Author's Corner with your host, author Kimberly McLemore, as she welcomes her guests into the studio to discuss excerpts of their book.
All right, good evening and welcome to Vigilant Broadcasting Radio Station. I am your host, author Kimberly McLemore, and thank you for tuning in tonight to my show, The Author's Corner. As usual, we have two amazing guests in store for you this evening, but before we start, let me take a couple of minutes and tell you just a little bit about myself and the purpose of the show. I am the author of How to Be a Success by Just Being You, memoir, Deception of the Heart, A Real Look into Domestic Violence, and in my new book, Are You Living or Existing? Pros and Cons of Balancing Life. I am also the founder and CEO of the Women's Small Business Initiative, LLC, the host of the podcast, Your Resource for Success, on iHeartRadio and Spotify, the founder of Author Kimberly McLemore, LLC, co-owner of Talk Radio and TV Network, LLP, and owner of Vigilant Broadcasting, and, of course, of this radio show, The Author's Corner. The purpose of the radio show is to provide a platform for new and existing authors, giving them opportunity to promote their books, their events, speaking engagements, and, of course, we want to know where we can purchase their book. But before we go any further and bringing on the guests, let me introduce to you my first special guest, Dr. Valeka Moore, author of Mental Detox. Dr. Valeka Moore is a wife and a mother. She is the CEO and founder of Empowerment Through Expression, LLC, Therapy Center and Mind Spa. She is also a licensed therapist, coach, speaker, author, and minister. Dr. Valeka has worked in the mental health field since 2001 in various capacities and with several client types. Affectionately known as Dr. V and the Transformation Activator, she is passionate about empowering amazing women leaders to shift from being stuck, confused, and frustrated by teaching them strategies to transform their minds, businesses, and lives as they fully embrace and activate the next level of their God-given purpose and brilliance. So, without further ado, please help me welcome my very special guest, Dr. Valeka Moore. Hello, Dr. V.
Hi. Hello. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and thank you so much for being a guest on my show this evening. I am excited. It has been a long time coming to have you on, so I'm really excited for everybody to know more about you and your book and what you got going on. So before we actually get into talking about the book, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself and what you've got going on?
Okay, so great. So I think, you gave a big part of it in my bio or with my bio, so thank you for that. But, yes, so I am the founder and CEO of Empowerment Through Expression, LLC, Therapy Center and Mind Spa. So we are here in Laurel, Maryland, and we are pretty much a full-service practice for mental health. So with our clients, we see men, we see women, we see children, but what we've noticed over the time that we've been in practice is that we see a lot of women and a lot of women leaders, just different backgrounds of women. And because of that, 2 years ago, we began our Mind Spa sector of our practice, and what that is focused around is just self-care. Relaxation, self-care. So our women, they come in, they, not only, come in and, just talk about whatever issues that there are, but they are also able to have time to just relax, time to get a massage. We have licensed massage therapists on staff. So, that was a very important part of the practice for me, or just something to add, because sometimes we don't see, mental health as self-care. We look at it more as a diagnosis, so that was something that was very important for me to add and to really begin educating on, is that, just caring for ourselves, that is mental health. our thoughts and our feelings, that consists of our mental health. So that is pretty much what the practice is. Since that practice, actually this year I have I call it my new baby. So my new business is Brilliant One Unlimited LLC, which is a business coaching, consulting, and publishing firm. I just work with visionaries, and just leaders, new leaders, who know that there is something else that they want to do, that there is something else that they maybe haven't stepped into yet, but know that it's there. So, I, with that, just help them unlock those dreams, unlock those visions, and a big part of it is knowing that their dreams, their visions, they aren't too big. We serve an unlimited God, and, whatever they have that they want to pursue or produce, that it can certainly be done. I always tell them, if you can see it, then I can see it, and God is going to manifest it. So that is my new baby there. And, other than that, and I think you mentioned it as well, is that I'm a wife and I am a mom of 3 beautiful children.
Absolutely amazing, and congratulations on the new business. I had not heard about that, so that is great to hear.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So, okay, I know that you talked a lot about the business, and I kind of want to dive a little bit backwards before we start going into the book, and I always do this with my guests. I really kind of want to learn a little bit more about what inspired you, what made you decide to go into the business that you have. And obviously we know we got your new business, but let's focus a little bit more on the empowerment, because I was listening to you talk about how we don't look at mental health as being something that's important. We just look at it as being, oh, my gosh, she wrote something on a piece of paper, I'm being prescribed as I have this issue. And I liked how you're saying how we don't take the time to deal with ourselves. But explain to me and to the listeners what made you decide to get into the business and what inspired you to do that.
Okay, so that is a great question, and, it's so funny because when I think back and I look back, 20 years ago, or let's say 21 years ago, I would have thought that I was getting ready to go to college to become a writer or a journalist. I was getting ready to go to college to major in English because that was my love. I just knew that I was going to be an author one day, or that I was going to be a journalist one day. That was my love from the time that I was 10 years old. However, when I look back now, I can see that there was a call on my life to be an entrepreneur. But still, everything that I thought of that I would do, I was like, okay, it was, even before I knew what an entrepreneur was, everything just led to something that I would create. And so with saying that, when I was 17 years old, or I was getting ready to turn 18, so we are at close to the end of the school year, my senior year. I had already put in applications for college. The applications I had put in, they were, when they ask you, the major that you're thinking of, I had put English because I'm thinking I'm going to be an English major. But my final semester in high school, I took a psychology course. And when I took that course, I was just like, wow, like this is what I want to do. So by the time I got to college in August of that year, I was changing my major, and I majored in psychology. And just, even as I was entering college, I was like, okay, you know what? I am going to be a psychologist. I'm going to have a therapy practice. So that is that's 1998. So that was about 20 going on 21 years ago. And, and that's what, just over time, I had my wonderful jobs, worked with some wonderful agencies, but in 2003, there was just kind of a transition for me where it was time to really birth that baby. And that's, what happened. So my background, my psychology and clinical social work background is very strong in working with children and families. So when I started my practice, I'm thinking children and families. That's the way that I'm going, because I loved it. But somehow when I started the practice, as I was saying before, I got a lot of women that were coming in. And so, so that's kind of what it's transitioned to, is more so a self-care practice. But, yes, that's how it came about. It came about, I'm 18 years old, getting ready to go into college, and just found this new love for psychology and the mind. And from that moment, I knew that one day I would start a practice. So probably, 15, 16 years later, I was able to see it manifest. Mm-hmm.
And that's amazing. And I love how you told that story. And that's why I always think it's important to understand the background. And I think it's neat that you knew in your mind that, hey, I'm going to be an author. But then something just kept pushing you upside your head and say, look, there's something more here. And then when you've had that opportunity to take that course, to be able to bring the two together is absolutely great therapy in its own self, right? In itself there. So I think what you have done and what you're doing is amazing and good work, and we're blessed to have you in the community, and because we're right here in the D.C. area. So, women just really constantly need to focus on that self-care, because we are constantly doing too many things, and then care of us. Right. Yeah, we're always thinking about everybody else, and I always have to have that constant reminder myself that, okay, wait a minute, I need to do this. And I've learned that I don't do anything I don't want to do anymore, and that has probably been my big theme for the new year as well, is making big, bold moves, but the moves that we are making make more sense when you understand your self-care.
Yes, so true.
So, okay, so now I kind of wanted, before we jump in, I always have to do I'll have my little commercial break here. So for those who are just tuning in, but I also want to say, if there's anyone out there listening who would like to ask questions to Dr. Valeka Moore, you are more than welcome to call in. You can dial into the number 319-527-2634. I will say this again, 319-527-2634, and you can ask my guest, Dr. Valeka Moore, any questions about her practice, as well as we're going to be talking about the book. So if you're just now tuning in, we're here listening on Vigilant Broadcasting live to the Author's Corner. Again, I am author Kimberly McLemore, and I have my wonderful special guest, Dr. Valeka Moore, and we call her Dr. V for short, and she is going to be talking about next about her book, Mental Detox. So I'm going to assume that obviously with you having this phenomenal practice that you have, that out of this practice came the book. So talk more about the book.
Yes. So actually, the book is very closely related to the practice, but it came just from life and my life. So at the beginning, I do, just kind of talk about how, one day as I was actually getting ready to probably 3 months out of leaving my job that I was working at prior to starting my business, that, one day I was sitting in my office and, it was really quiet. I was sitting there pretty much alone. It must have, I don't think it was really anyone in the office that day. And, as I was sitting there, my mind just started going, and with that, emotions just started coming up. They just really started flooding me. And with that, it was because it was so much stuff that had not been dealt with, even from childhood, that, was just coming up, because sometimes, life has us to or we just fill ourselves with things from life, and we don't take care of what's really important to take care of. And, and those are maybe the things that we've carried from, maybe the time that we were 4 or 5. For me, it was maybe about 8 years old, that we just carry through life, and we just put things on top of things. And this should have been one of the happiest times of my life. I'm sitting there, I'm just crying. I'm just like overwhelmed just with life. And, at that time, that was when I knew that I needed to make a change, because I'm getting ready to, I'm already a therapist, so I know what I'm telling everybody else to do.
Right.
But sometimes we don't take our own advice, right? It's easy to tell others, but, we're not taking the advice. And, on that day, I was like, it was close to the end of the year. And it was around the time that we start, thinking about the changes and things that we're going to do for the next year, and my thing was I cannot go into another year like this. I cannot go into another year carrying these things around. So for me, it was, okay, you need to fix some things. So from there, I started my own process. And that is where this book really came from. It's the process that I took myself through to just get to a place of just mental clarity, just freedom, and it just felt so great. And but I didn't know it was going to be a book. That was me going through my process, and this is a 31-day journey, but my journey wasn't 31 days because I was figuring it out as I went. So, that was the end of 2013. So in 2017, and this is Mental Health Awareness Month, so I'm really super excited to be here talking about this book because 2 years ago, 2017, I decided to just do a group, just offer some people a mental detox. And, I had quite a few people to sign up for it, and, and I got a lot of good feedback on it. And so I was like, okay, this is great. And then, after that, after we had gone through the mental detox, I got all of the feedback. I was like, more people need access to this, and with you being an author, you know how a book is able to travel and is able to reach so many more people. So, what I did, I just put my journey in a book. So that's where the Mental Detox book came from.
Wow. And I definitely love the title. And I like how you also look at the fact that you're saying for the brilliant woman leader, because we're leading, whether it's in the corporate world, whether it's in our private world, we're constantly leading. But like you always say, that self-care is the number one thing that we forget about. And the see that so many women gravitated to you, like I said, we always think that our stories are our own private journeys and our own private problems, but we realize how many other people have those same significant issues, and they don't really know how to deal with them. And like I said, we could tell everybody else exactly what they need to do, but our own self is usually the hardest person to have to deal with. So talk a little bit with the listeners about some of the strategies that you do, and then when you get done with that, please pick out your favorite excerpt from the book, and let's have a quick discussion about that as well.
Okay, so as I was saying, it's a 31-day journey, and the 31-day journey is broken up into 4 different chapters or 4 different sections. And so there are 4 processes, which are reflecting, releasing, and then we have resetting and refocusing, which is 1 week, and then we have replenishing. So those are the 4 main things that we work on, and then each day within that, and each one of those go for a week, and each day within the week there is a task assigned to that particular chapter. So the first chapter is reflecting. So there are 7 days of tasks assigned to reflecting. So, you asked about, like my favorite chapter, and what I would have to say, it's really hard to pick because they all go hand in hand.
Right.
But I would probably say the reflecting, so the chapter on reflection. And the reason that I say that is because what we do is get so busy sometimes that, either we're avoiding really dealing with what we may be going through or what we may be feeling, or life is just so busy that we don't get a chance. So, with reflecting, when we actually, and what I always tell people is don't find time, because a lot of the time we'll say, well, I have to find time for me. And I tell people, no, don't find time, because, where are you going to find it from? Because by the time you have a moment to sit down, you're going to be thinking, well, no, I need to get up and do the next thing, right?
Exactly. So you're too tired to worry about it, right?
Right. So I was like, we have to make time. And if you're bold enough, take time, so so with that, when we actually are able to make and take time for ourselves, we can sit down, we can ask ourselves a very important question, which is, how am I doing? How am I doing? And, and when we do that and we allow ourselves to be transparent with our own selves, then we can figure out, we can go from there to figuring out what we need to do. Right. And then, if we are really accountable to ourselves, then we can actually take those steps. But the beginning of it is being able to be transparent, be honest with ourselves, to just reflect about what's going on in our lives, what we need to change, what we can do, and just be honest, because a lot of the time what happens is someone asks us in a day, how are you? Most of the time we're like, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm okay, and that just rolls off of our tongue so easily. However, there are times that we're not fine, good, and okay.
Right. That's right.
But we don't even take the time to even process ourselves what's going on. So that's why I think that, the reflecting is just so important, and that's probably my chapter, because I feel like if we start there, then everything else is just going to flow.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that. I always talk a lot about myself, self-assessments, looking at yourself. And because if you can't understand you and you can't work your own issues out, how can you help somebody else? Right?
That's right. That's so good. Yes.
Yeah, and as you say, we always will put ourselves on the back burner, and we'll say, yeah, we'll get to it. And by the time you do get to it, we're just so worn out that we find ourselves getting to the point where you will hit, rock bottom. So I absolutely agree with you that reflection is probably the number one thing that should inspire and awake anyone who feels that they need that time. And it's not even about worrying about what you're going to be doing for other people, but it's truly, truly about taking care of you so that you can be the best you that you should be and start to live your purpose in the journey that you really want to take. So I absolutely agree with you on that. So before we come to the end, because I can't believe how fast time goes, because Dr. V, I could be talking to you all night about this, because this is a topic that needs to be continually talked about when it comes to mental awareness, because I know mental awareness has been around for many, many years, but these last probably 5 or 6 years we've heard much more about it, because it's affecting everybody with the world that we live in today. There's such chaos. I'm glad that, like I said, we have people like you around who are truly helping us see who we are and helping us work through the issues that we have in our lives. So could you tell, though, everyone what you have going on, and then tell us exactly how we can get a copy of your book and anything else you would like to share with us this evening?
Yes, absolutely. So what do I have going on? Well, right now we are in Mental Health Awareness Month. So what I'm really doing right now is doing a campaign called Paint the Town Green. I really haven't released too much what that is about, but really it's just people becoming more aware and educated on what mental health awareness is. And then in the next week, I will be really sharing the activity that I have to just celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month. So that's going to be coming quickly. So please go on and follow me. My website is probably the best way to stay connected with me, or at least to get connected with me, because all of my social media and everything is there. But it's www.doctor, so DrValekaMoore.com, so drvalekamoore.com. And on Facebook, I'm Dr.-Valeka Moore, and then all other social media platforms, I'm Dr. Valeka Moore.
All right. Well, again, I thank you so much for coming on the show and spending some time with me this evening. It is always a pleasure talking to you. Love you to death. And then, I do have a copy already of your book, so I already have this. I've actually pulled it up, and I was actually reading it. I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I need to do a few more of these things, too. Nothing like hitting you in the face, right?
Yes.
So, again, like I said, thank you so much for spending some time with me this evening. You have been phenomenal. Again, for everyone else, if you would like to reach out to Dr. Valeka Moore, it is www.drvalekamoore.com. She is phenomenal. I know her personally, and I guarantee you will get everything that you need. Again, thank you so much. You have a good evening, Dr. Valeka Moore, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a good evening.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, and everyone else, we're just going to take a couple of minutes, and we're going to go right to our commercial break before we have our next guest. And again, if you would like to call in and talk to any of the authors, please dial into 319-527-2634. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Welcome back to the Author's Corner with your host, author Kimberly McLemore.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome to the Author's Corner. I am your host, author Kimberly McLemore, and now let me introduce you to our next special guest author, Chip Baker, author of Growing Through Your Go Through. Coach
Hello.
Chip Baker is a graduate of Hearn High School. He attended West Texas A&M University, where he played football and graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Sports and Exercise Science and Special Education. He has a master's degree from Sam Houston State University in Educational Leadership. He has been teaching and coaching for 19 years. Throughout his career, he has received Teacher of the Year on his campus twice, published several articles, published a book, and has been a head football coach and athletic director. He has a YouTube channel, Chip Baker, The Success Chronicles, where he interviews people to discuss their path to success. He has been blessed to be around so many great people that he has learned from and they have helped him grow. He is currently a teacher and coach in Conroe ISD in Conroe, Texas. His motto is live, learn, serve, inspire, and, of course, go get it. So without further ado, please help me welcome my special guest, Chip Baker. Hello, Chip.
Hello, hello.
How are you, sir?
I am doing just great. Thanks so much for having me on your show.
Oh, it is my pleasure, and I've been really excited about having you. It's been at least a year getting you on the show. So we have finally got here, and I'm excited. So could you just please tell everybody just a little bit more about yourself? I know I've read quite a bit in the bio, but talk a little bit about yourself, and could you tell everybody what you've got going on in your world?
Well, in a nutshell, I'm just an ordinary guy trying to achieve some extraordinary things. I've been blessed and fortunate to be raised by some amazing people, and fortunate to be around some awesome folks in my career to learn from. So I'm just trying to, take those principles and practices and put those into motion to help do my part in the positive ripple effect to make our world a better place. And so fourth generation educator. I truly love what I do, and I have the amazing opportunity to go and make a difference in the life of a child each day. And so I don't take it lightly. And, that's kind of what I'm up to. It's like you said, I have the Success Chronicles. It's a YouTube channel and podcast, and interview people from all walks of life and share it for inspiration and motivation. So it's a little bit about me.
Well, you're a little bit about you, and you're so humble. It's a great thing. We take for granted every day who we are, but like you said, you are just trying to share what you have and make the place a better place, the world a better place, and the world that we live in, as I talked a little about earlier is just craziness. And so it's always great to have some positiveness around us, and also our children to be allowed to see that there is definitely good things going on around them. But like I always talk, and I ask my guests, tell me a little bit what inspired you, though, to do what you're doing. Obviously with you being a coach, that's a huge inspiration because you love coaching others and teaching them in a certain ways that you have and the things that you have learned down the line and through the years. But what really got you inspired to not just be a football coach, but also get into the business that you're in?
I think the two things. My family, deeply rooted in faith, and so everything starts there. And they taught me. My mother and my grandmother were ministers of music in our churches, growing up, and believed in, you're going to give service, and that was just taught, at a young age. The big man blesses you so that you can be a blessing, and that's all I know,
Right.
And so just I'm all about giving service and helping others. And then the second thing is, like I mentioned, I'm a fourth generation educator, and I have stories upon stories upon stories of the differences that my family members have made in the lives of others. And you go around and you would see kids and adults like see my mom from a distance, and my mom wouldn't even see them, and they would just smile, and just that difference. You can tell that her efforts that she put into it made a difference in their lives, and they were appreciative of that. And really, I just wanted to be a part of that, and I've been blessed to do that. Like I said, 20 years now, and it's been a cool ride.
Well, and 20 years is a long time to serve and to give. And sometimes, in those 20 years, I'm sure nothing has always been perfect, but at least you've held on, because it can usually take that one thing for some people after they've given their hearts and their joy to everybody that, sometimes it can take you away from that. And so I guess talk to me a little bit about, what is it that you share with your students, or when you're out there in that field and you're coaching? Talk a little bit about that, because we're going to get into the book, but I really kind of want to hear some more about the service that you give these students and these kids. What is it that you say to them to keep them encouraged? Because today's world is so different than what it was when we were coming up as kids. We didn't have the technology, or at least I can say I didn't have the technology, that was available today. And so the world that these young people live in today is all about I look at it sometimes as the fear being behind that wall of being able to use your phone and be able to text and talk about people, or get on Facebook and talk about people. So what is the encouragement and the things that you teach and reach out to your children about?
I agree. The thing that's inevitable is change. We're gonna have change, so we just have to embrace those things. But to me, there are some advances that have taken us further, like technology, like you described, if it's used the right way, but to me, the core common principles that we learn, those never go out of style, and so, your things like, treating the golden rule, treating people, as you would want to be treated, giving effort counts. Do right, do things the right way, giving your all. My mom used to say, if you're going to do something, you better do it the right way. Persistence. All of those things, that never goes out of style. You just have to channel it in a different manner, with the nuances, of how things have changed. But really, respect, those things don't change. And so those are the things that I try to instill in the kids that I am blessed and fortunate to be around, and then embracing the newness, diversity and new things. Those bring excitement, and we have to embrace those things and find the good in it. Stay away from the bad, but find the good in it, and thrive on the good. And I think there's one thing that I do. I'm a simple guy. I'm a routine guy. There's one thing that I do I try to do in my life, and, you know, those people that have heard me interview before or follow me on the Success Chronicles, you've heard this. And I have, you know, it's called the SHG principle. You know, and it's simple. You know, a lot of times we can get, you know, overloaded or bombarded mentally with all of the stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if you try to think too far down the road and all of this I have to do, well, you're going to get weighed down. You know, but I think if you just focus on being in the moment, being present in the moment, then you have an opportunity to maximize your potential, you know, by doing this. And I think I call it the SHG principle, and the S is for show up. You know, every day, whatever you sign up to be involved in, show up. You know, be present, be in the moment, and enjoy it. If you sign up to be on this team, have your butt here every day. You can be committed to it. You know, a relationship, you know, whatever it is you sign up to be involved in, show up. The next thing, the H, is have a great attitude. You know, the two things we control is our attitude and our effort. And so we know our attitude determines our altitude. The more positive we are, the more positive things will happen to us. And then the last thing is give your all. The G is give your all. You know, and some days we don't have 100% to give. You know, some days we only have a 70 or, you know, 60 or 50, if you will. You know,
right.
Yeah, depending on the day. But whatever it is you have to give, hey, give your all. And what that does is that instills two things. It instills self-trust in you because you show yourself that, hey, I can push beyond what I think I can't do, you know. And so you get on the road to do that. But then bigger than that, the people around you, they trust you as well because they see, hey, without a shadow of a doubt, that guy's going to give his all.
Right.
So I think that's big for me that I, you know, instill with, for sure, my players, because I'm, you know, with them, you know, a lot, and that's what I require of them. But bigger than that, I require that of myself first, you know.
Well, you're right, because you can't ask somebody to do something that you're not doing. And so I definitely love that attitude. I love that SHG, show up attitude and give your all. And like I said, if you just take that one step, it's amazing what you can do with the rest. But once you take that step, you definitely have to deliver and you have to do your part. So you are absolutely providing something that these kids need to hear every day. And, you know, like I said, it's all the simple things, the things that are common that we have known all of our lives that we constantly have to grind into people's heads every day. You know, treat yourself the way you want to be treated, you know, respect comes both ways. You know, it's all very simple, but, you know, sometimes things can be so, you know, crazy around it that those simple things have gone completely out the window with, you know, with the things that we're seeing today. So those constant reminders, I believe, are important. And like I said, after 20 years of what you've been doing, you know, I'm sure like you could tell a million different stories about why you've seen this or what's going on around you. And to keep yourself sane and keep those kids sane, it's got to be a lot of work and a pressure on you. So talk a little bit, how do you relieve your stress, you know, of your daily life as you're constantly giving yourself to everyone? How does that work for you?
Well, I'm going to tell you a little scenario here. You know, I have a son. He's 12 now, and my grandmother has passed, but, you know, she was able to live long enough to be in, you know, for his life, a little over half of his life. But you know, as she was getting, you know, to be older, and, you know, she had cancer, and, you know, we would go visit her, and she always had a fruit basket on her table. And, you know, she kept fruit in there, and my son loved the bananas, you know, and so she would always make sure she had, you know, good bananas from a good store, you know, no cheap bananas, high quality, you know, fruit for my baby, you know.
Right.
And so, you know, and so, you know, every time we went over there, we would go in the house, and the first thing he would do is go to that table, and she would meet him, right? You know, and get him a banana, and they sit down and talk and help. You know, she helped him peel it, and, you know, talk to him, how was your day? You know, it's good to see you, hug him, you know, tell him she loved him, you know, those kind of things. That he just truly enjoyed that experience. It wasn't about the fruit, the banana. It was about the love and the experience that he was getting from her. that he enjoyed. And so, every now and then when she got low, she would call and say, baby, I need y'all to take me to the store so I can get some fruit so I can refill my fruit basket for my baby,
Right.
So that, and so in our life, in my life, or what I do as an educator, it's important to refill my fruit basket, so that I can give my fruits, like you said, 20 years, I give a lot of fruits,
right.
Fourth generation, we've given fruits for years in our family, but the things that I do is, first, faith, stay in faith, stick to core common principles, have routines and systems for things that I do. I'm a music guy. I love music. I love to read. Family time is huge for me. Those are things that, and one thing that I started doing here recently in the last few years is finding serenity spots. You can be in a place of where it's craziness, but find a spot to have calm.
Right.
Like taking a gratitude walk, or
right.
Just sitting in quiet on the patio, or just reading during your lunch, or listening to a podcast on the way to work. Things that that you can do that will make you better.
Exactly.
And I've really been diving into that a lot, and oh man, I'm addicted. I am telling you, I am addicted to personal growth, because I've seen how the personal growth not only helps me be better, but it makes me be able to help people in an extraordinary way. And so, I'm all over that right now.
And that's a positive. That is an absolute plus. My first guest, her whole book is about mental detox, a stress-free life. We are all givers. We're all achievers in our own right in the things that we want to do, but that constant, people grabbing and holding on to you, you absolutely need to know how to let go and know how to take care of yourself, like I said, because if you can't take care of you and you can't make something happen for somebody else and give them the best of you. So I absolutely think that what you're doing is a phenomenal thing for yourself, and it's the best part about it is that you made yourself very aware of what you needed to do. And, that those few moments of time of seeing your son with your grandmother and with his grandmother, like I said, it was never about the banana. It was about the experience. And so now you have given those fruits of baskets out for many years, and you're receiving those same experiences. So, as I said, it's great that you even understand that and have reflected and self-assessed yourself and said, hey, I got to do this in order to be better. Because we all have those moments where we're trying to figure out why some days are we doing, even though we already know in the back of our minds, this is our purpose, this is the reason why we're here, but taking care of yourself and that level of care is probably the most important, so we can be the best. So we're going to get ready to talk about your book, but I want to let everybody know, if you just tuned in, you are missing out, I'm telling you. And if you have questions, though, you want to dial into 319-527-2634 and talk to Chip Baker. He is great, and I'm just excited about him being on the show. We're here on Vigilant Broadcasting Live, and for those who don't know me, I'm author Kimberly McLemore. You're here on Author's Corner. And again, like I said, my special guest is Chip Baker, author of Growing Through Your Go-Through. So now let's talk about this book. First of all, Chip, tell me how you came up with the title, because the title is phenomenal. And what does it mean?
Okay, so I'll tell you a little backstory. So, you mentioned that, I have a podcast, a YouTube channel, Chip Baker, The Success Chronicles. And, in the process of me just trying to give back and serve, I've been blessed in so many ways. So I've been able to come in contact with amazing people like yourself, that are just doing some great things that I'm able to learn from. But one man that I came across is Dr. Oliver T. Reed, and he's in your area, in Manassas. Great man, preacher, author, philanthropist. And, I interviewed him, and we hit it off, and we did a topic session. Then we did another topic session. That went on for like 3 weeks, right? And, we were like, man, we've got to put this in a book. This is some good stuff, right? So it just stemmed from our, conversations that we were having, we didn't want to be selfish. We had to share it with the world,
Right. That's
and
right.
So, yeah. And so, he, at the time, he was the solutions. He was all about, his deal was solutions to your success. And, my deal is I'm the, the Success Chronicle. So we have a series, actually, and this is my first book. He's a multiple-time author, big-time guy doing some great things. But this is my first book, and the series is Solutions to Your Success. It's going to be a 4-book series. So this is the first book in that series, and the book is growing through your go-through. And really what it's about is, none of us are immune to going through tough things. What we have to do is, as we go through those things, we have to grow through that process and use what we've learned to help others and make our world a better place.
Right.
It's just like the metamorphosis or caterpillar butterfly. There's some things you're gonna have to crawl. It's gonna be dirty. You're gonna have to get in your cocoon and grow and get some strength, and you get strength by going through things. But if you try to fly too soon and you don't learn the things that you're supposed to learn, well, when it's your time to fly, you don't fly very high.
Right.
And basically that's what the book is talking about. We it starts off with the interview as far as the topic session that we did on it, and it's really good. It has some tips and just open conversation in there. Then I go through and I talk about a scenario in my life that I had to grow through, my go through, and then Dr. Reed talks about a situation in his life where he had to go through. And the good thing about the book is we have some journal pages in there. So it's a personal journey. Like, it's not just, okay, I'm just reading what these guys are doing, but it allows you to reflect and see what you need to do in your life to help you grow through your own personal go-through.
And I like that. I like that. And I know a lot of us authors are doing that here a lot with our books, is make sure you have a journal available, be able to take notes, like I said, looking at yourself, reflecting on who you are as an individual and saying, okay, well, why am I going through this? Well, this is the reason why you're going through it. And I love how you two, here it is, a doctor and a coach, have come together to provide information like that, things that we all know, but things that sometimes you just have to hear it from somebody else, just to wake your inner senses up and say, you know what, this is me.
Yes.
Yeah, and I like that.
And enjoy it.
Right, exactly, because, like you said, we all go through something in life, but it depends on what you learn from that and how you're going to continue to manifest through it all. And I think that's a big part of, everybody's journey. It's how you respond. It's usually what makes you who you are as an individual, and whether or not you're going to be successful in what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So talk to me a little bit about, and our listeners, of course, tell us about your favorite part of the book, or an excerpt if you want to read from the book, or just want to talk about a chapter that really stands out to you and why you want to share that with us this evening.
Yeah, I love to give you a little excerpt of it, so you kind of, know what you're getting into if you choose to purchase the book, if you like.
We appreciate that.
yeah, just setting it up here, Kim McLemore.
Okay.
But first off, just like I said, it starts with the interview. Then, we go through and I give you my story. And then from there, my story, and this is the starting of what I learned from what I went through. And so within this story, while reflecting and looking back on it, I realized that I grew through those tough moments. There were lessons I learned, and it made me realize that personally there's a process to achieve growth while going through tough things. We first must be mature enough to understand that we are not perfect. Once we realize that we all have weaknesses and that we all have the capabilities to turn our weaknesses into strengths, then a powerful revelation happens. And that's just just from, me processing on what I learned from going through what I went through,
Mhm. Yes, and I like that. Very telling. Like you said, what you're going through, once you start to realize it and you accept that, then you can move forward. So I like that. Yeah. And I love how you guys put this whole process of this book together. I definitely have to get a copy of it because I love how you talk about you have this interview and then you're both are sharing your experiences. And like I said, there's always somebody out there who can identify to what you've going through or what they're going through and how they're saying, oh, my gosh, it's not just me. I'm not the only one that's going crazy or think I'm going crazy or realize that these are the things that have made me who I am as the individual I am today, and then what steps do I need to take to go further. So, what you have I think is very, very interesting, and I'm looking forward to learning more about your book. So do you have any other books that are going to be coming? You did say you're going to have another series coming out, but do you have any other books of your own that you're going to be putting together soon?
Well, I'm working on that behind the scenes. I'm partnering. Lots of great things coming up. I'm blessed and excited, about the future. Still, we should be dropping our next book in the series pretty soon. Actually, just did some edits yesterday on the second one. Getting it back to the editor, and so that should be coming within the month or a month and a half or so.
Okay.
And then, super excited about this one because this one is going to be huge. In a project as well called Suited for Success.
I know who that is. PK Kersey, love him to death.
PK Kersey, yeah, that's my guy. And so he's one that I interviewed on the Success Chronicles as well. And I think, have you had him on your show already?
Yes, he's been on my show a couple times on my other show, and I've met PK personally in New York. We were on an interview together on VPR radio station last year. So I'm very excited about PK, and definitely we've been trying to get back onto the show because he's been so busy, with him being on Steve Harvey and everything. I'm just so excited for him. It's a phenomenal
that guy.
individual.
He is doing it. He is doing it. And so the volume 2 of Suited for Success, I will have a featured chapter in that book.
Awesome.
And so I'm so excited about that. Highlighting the stories of 30 African American men. Because I think that that's going to be a great archive. That can be handed down to generations and generations.
Absolutely.
To wisdom and knowledge that's passed down. And so as a kid, as a teenager, as a college student, as a man,
period.
I would love to have had somebody give me that book to read the stories of so many successful men, and for me to be a part of that. Oh man, I'm pumped.
Well, you should be. Like I say, he is wonderful, and I'm glad to hear that you're a part of that. So do you have any other engagements that you would like to talk about that you have available?
No, just if everybody can go check out the Success Chronicles. It's YouTube channel podcast for inspiration and motivation. You can go search YouTube, Chip Baker, the Success Chronicles, on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. The podcast is everywhere that you can find podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search Chip Baker, the Success Chronicles, and it'll come up. And, the big deal is, like I said at the beginning and I know I'm an author and an educator, so I'm going to warn you here, Kim, this isn't quite grammatically correct what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it so you understand what I mean.
Okay.
I understood. I realized a long time ago in my life that it ain't about me. It ain't about me. It's about what I can do to give service to help others. Right. It's not about me. But I realize.
Well, it's all right. Look, it's all right not to be perfect. That's what we're here for. And like you said, your life has been about service, and everybody would take the time just to serve one time and realize the joy that you get out of that, and knowing that you're helping somebody else reach their dreams and their goals. They will have. I'm telling you, they will feel much better than throughout the day, the next day, and for life, because it just sticks with you.
Yes.
It absolutely sticks with you. So you have been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure. But let me ask you real quick, any other ways on social media that people can get a hold of you? So if they would like to get a copy of your book, they just want to reach out and talk to you, maybe you want to be a guest on your show as well, besides, on some other platforms or doing any other collaborations, please tell us how we can get a hold of you, sir.
Sure, yeah. Just reach out to me on social media. DM me. I'm very active on social media. On my Instagram, I have a link tree, and there's several links on there. You can sign up to be interviewed. You can message me. You can see what the work is like. Just you want to check it out. But yeah, social media, you can hit me up, Chip Baker TSC or Chip Baker The Success Chronicles, and I'm easy to get to.
All right. Well, again, I want to say thank you so much for spending some time with me this evening. I know you're busy, but I really appreciate you. It has been so fun to actually chat with you a little longer, and, of course, I got a chance to talk with you last week, so that was really fun, too. And, again, I appreciate you. Like I said, for those who are listening this evening, this is Chip Baker. He is the author of Growing Through Your Go-Through. So if you have any questions for him, you would like to get a copy of his book, like I said, just reach out to Chip Baker on all social media platforms. So, again, thank you, Chip.
Thank you for having me, and for the audience, check it out and do this for me, please. If you can, if you see something that you like, please share it with one person so that we can spread the positivity and help make our world better. And my favorite three words, my slogan, go get it.
That's right.
That's it. Go get
All righty then. Well, you have a good evening. And, again, thank you for spending time and coming on the Author's Corner this evening.
My pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much. And, okay, for everyone else, this is the Author's Corner. If you're interested in being a sponsor or a guest on my show, on the Author's Corner, all you need to do is send me a short bio, a book cover, and a professional picture to KimberlyMcLemore@gmail.com. That is Kimberly McLemore@gmail.com. Also, I would like to just say real quickly that I do have a new ebook release on Are You Living or Existing? The Pros and Cons of Balancing Life. It is right now on sale for $3.99 and at Amazon, so get it while it's still lasting. They have until the end of the month to get that special. And I also have one other thing I'd like to talk about, that please join us on Saturday, August the 17th. If you are living in the Pennsylvania area, anywhere in eastern Pennsylvania or surrounding areas, I am going to be doing a self-publishing workshop and an entrepreneurial networking brunch with 3 other phenomenal ladies that I am ecstatic about. We're going to be at the Joyful Self Wellness Center in eastern Pennsylvania, and the cost for that is $75. Like I said, this is going to be a brunch. It is also going to, you're going to have the opportunity to meet other great entrepreneurs with getting this 4-hour course on self-publishing. All this is going to be a part of it. So it's $75. You can go into any of my Facebook platforms at Kimberly M. McLemore or author Kimberly M. McLemore. And the ladies that we'll be working with is Christy Joy Met. We have Wandra Kane and Michelle Dolfiger. I'm telling you, this is going to be a phenomenal event. Please make sure that you sign up. Registration is already open. August is not that far away. That's going to be, again, on Saturday, August the 17th. And it is the Are You Living or Resisting Self-Publishing Workshop and Entrepreneurial Networking Brunch. Also, like I said, you can follow me on any other platforms. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I also have the Women's Small Business Initiative, and I also have the YouTube channel as well. And, again, thank you for tuning in tonight to the Vigilant Broadcasting. Please stop by and like our Talk Radio and TV Network LL social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And until next time, join me next month for another amazing show. Have a good evening and good night.
Good night, everyone, and thank you for tuning in tonight. We'll be back next month on Friday evening at 7 p.m. EST with 2 more amazing guests. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Periscope at author Kimberly McLemore and at Talk Radio TV Network, LLP.